All right. So today's lesson is all about immunity. This will be the last lesson of our 8th unit. Today is the 6th day of our eighth unit. Tomorrow will be test day. So today's lesson is going to be pretty quick, and we're going to have some time to review previous lessons as well. The objective of today's lesson is to be able to describe how pathogens are evolving to become resistant to specific treatments. And then our essential question is, how is evolution driving the selection of resistant pathogens? How is evolution driving the selection of resistant pathogens? So as you all get ready with your notes, the title again is Immunity, and today's date is November 17th, 2020. Hard to believe that here we are, only about a week away from Thanksgiving. Time is flying. Okay, so I see I've got Malachi, I've got Gabby, Castro, Alicia, Jalen, Kiki, Dante, Ayana, Olivia, Omari, and Joseph. All right. So before we jump into the biology, I do want to mention this collaborative group called Motivated Minds, which will be meeting every Tuesday, including today, from 3:00 p.m. until 4:00 p.m. So obviously you all will have finished school at this time. I get you will have been looking at a computer screen since 8 o'clock in the morning. You might not want to continue doing it for an additional hour, but this is a cool opportunity. It's obviously optional. In these sessions, students will have an opportunity to go over a number of topics with counselors from West Meck and social workers from West Meck, along with staff members from an organization called Anuvia, which focuses on student holistic well-being. So if this is something that interests you, the Zoom information is included in this flyer, and I can send it to you on the side as well if this is something you're interested in being a part of. But these conversations are going to be student-driven. So whatever the needs of the group are, those needs will be discussed as a part of this Motivated Minds group. I think it's a cool opportunity for you all. I think it's something you should consider and explore further. I get, like I said, you all will have been on a computer and looking at a computer screen for 6 or 7 hours at that point. But one more hour that's really tailored to your mental health and your holistic well-being, I think is a good use of your time. So give it some thought. And again, if you need the Zoom information, I can email it to you or text it to you. Just hit me up on the side. So in our discussion about immunity, I want to know, before we begin, what you already know about your immune system. What do you all already know about the immune system? Any prior knowledge about the immune system? What does it mean to be immune to something?
It needs antibodies.
Ah, good. So that's an important scientific and medicinal term there. Antibodies are a big part of our immune system. Good job, Ayana. And then more generally, what does it mean to be immune to something?
What did you say?
What does it mean to be immune to something?
You can't get it.
Well, I didn't hear that. Okay.
What did you say?
Go ahead, Joseph.
Well, it has no effect on you.
Good. It means that whatever you are immune to does not affect you. It has no effect on you. And did you have something to add, Malachi?
No, I was just asking. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. So yes, that's a good way of putting it, Joseph. It means that whatever you are immune to, it has no effect on you. To be immune to something simply means that your body is not going to be negatively impacted by it, even though it might have the potential to negatively impact someone else. So our immune system is a complex network of cells and proteins that defends the body against infections. And those infections would be pathogens that we talked about yesterday. So please do write down that definition of the immune system. And again, here we are. This is another field of biology that we really only touch the top surface, the topmost surface of. So if this is something that interests you, I would encourage you to think about taking the anatomy class. And then obviously, if you continue your scientific studies beyond high school, immunology is something that is very well studied, and at many different universities, you can take classes on immunology, and then maybe even go on to major in it and study it even further. But immunology is the study of how human bodies are resistant to certain pathogens, how we can fight off and defend ourselves against pathogens. Really, the first step in doing this is our skin. Our skin is really our most protective layer. Obviously, if we were walking around with our organs totally exposed, we would be at a much greater risk for developing infections. But our skin provides a continuous layer that keeps certain pathogens out, as long as you don't have an open wound or something in your skin. Additionally, our nasal cavities and even the back of our mouths, the back of our, the beginning parts of our throat are also pretty intelligently designed to prevent us from being infected. So you've got very small hairs in your nose that prevent certain pathogens from entering. There, you've got a mucus layer in the back of your nasal cavities and in the back of your mouth that also is supposed to catch pathogens before they penetrate deeper into your body. And this picture on the left also shows some additional aspects of the immune system. You've got lymph nodes that are located throughout your body. In fact, you can probably feel some just under your jawline. You should be able to feel 2 on each side, or 1 on each side, I'm sorry, 2 total. Then you've got lymph nodes under your armpits and also near your groin. And these lymph nodes contain what's called lymphatic enzymes. And these lymphatic enzymes are there to break down pathogens. You've got a thymus, which also aids in your body's immune response. But as you get older, this thymus actually shrinks, because really the most important aspect of our immune system is our white blood cells. So those cells are the soldiers. They're the ones that are going out and stopping these pathogens, destroying these pathogens when they see them, recognizing these pathogens, so that if they ever come back into the body again, we don't allow them to thrive. All right, so as those white blood cells get stronger and better as you get older, and they're able to recognize more and more pathogens, your thymus just becomes less important. So it actually shrinks in size, not only relative to your body size, but just generally it shrinks as you get older. Even in your intestines, we have what are called Peyer's patches. Peyer's patches are very, very small areas of tissue that also aid with the immune response by preventing bacterial growth in your intestines as your intestines are digesting your food. And then your bone marrow. Your bone marrow is responsible for the growth of red and white blood cells. So it's a really complex process, and your brain is signaling this process the entire time. As Ayana mentioned, we've got antibodies, which are proteins that are made by the immune system to fight and destroy foreign substances. Okay, so antibodies are a lot like enzymes. Enzymes are another class of proteins. Both enzymes and antibodies really rely heavily on specificity, which means that their shape really matters. So in this still image on the left, we can see that whatever this pathogen is, it has two antigens on its outermost layer. One of them is more curved and one of them is squared off. So this curved antigen is only going to be recognized by this antibody. The squared off antigen is going to be recognized by another antibody. And so that's what I mean by specificity. Each antibody is specific. It can recognize a specific antigen on a pathogen. It can't recognize just any and all antigens. Each one of these antibodies has a very specific job to recognize a specific antigen. And once it does that, it's going to trigger an immune response. And now here come your white blood cells to attack and destroy this pathogen. So your white blood cells are more scientifically known as leukocytes, Leuko sites. Leuko is a prefix that comes from a Greek word for white. So leuko means white, site means cells. This is how we get it, white cell, white blood cell. All right. So there are really two types of immunity, and I do want you all to write down these definitions as well. So I'm going to leave this on the screen for a while. There's passive immunity. Passive immunity is short-term, and it results from the introduction of antibodies from another organism. Typically, that other organism is your mother or the person's mother, the organism's mother. This is why breast milk is so important, because breast milk has antibodies in it. It has some of the mother's antibodies in it. And so when the mother delivers those antibodies to her child, she's giving her child the ability to recognize pathogens that obviously in its short lifespan, it has not been exposed to yet. And then active immunity is what we think of as acquired immunity. And this is a result of exposure to a pathogen. Right. So once you get the virus that causes the common cold and you overcome it, you survive it, your body now recognizes that virus. And so it's not going to be, it won't be able to infect and then thrive inside of you going forward. Your body is recognizing it, and so it's going to stop the virus before it really takes over. We can also achieve active immunity via vaccination, which takes, I think I explained some of this yesterday, but vaccination takes small pieces of a virus or small pieces of a virus and puts it into your body. And your body will take those small pieces, reassemble the virus, and from that way, we'll start to recognize the virus going forward, which gives you some amount of immunity. Sometimes that immunity is only short term because some viruses mutate faster than others. The flu virus mutates very quickly. So it's recommended that you get a flu shot every year because the strain of the virus is changing on a yearly basis. Other viruses, like the virus that causes polio, do not mutate very quickly or at all. And so once you are vaccinated for that virus, you're typically immune to that virus for life. Okay. So about 10 more seconds to write down these definitions. Okay. Unfortunately, as we have used more antibiotics, now keep in mind, yesterday we talked about the fact that antibiotics are used to kill bacteria. You cannot use antibiotics to kill viruses. But as we have used these antibiotics and as we've developed more and more of them, bacteria are actually changing and evolving in response to the use of these antibiotics. And this is a huge threat to global health. It's a huge threat to food security because this also applies to different pests that, that we see in agriculture as well. So for example, if we've got a corn farm in Iowa, and that corn farm is being eaten by a specific strain of beetle, the farmer is going to use some type of pesticide to kill off those beetles. But even if he kills off 95% of the beetles, 5% of them might be totally resistant to that pesticide. So they're just simply not going to die. They are immune to the pesticide. And those 5% have some type of genetic advantage. It's not like they were smart enough to bury themselves in the sand while the pesticide was being sprayed, and then when the pesticide was done being sprayed and had all evaporated, they reemerged. It's not that that was their advantage. Their advantage was a genetic one. They were genetically immune to the pesticide. And so what this means is that they can pass on those immunity genes to their offspring. And so now their offspring are also immune to that pesticide. And so even though the first time the farmer sprayed pesticide, he or she or they killed 95% of the beetles, those 5% that were left can now reproduce at a high rate. And they can come back, and now you've got a population of beetles that is immune to your pesticide. The same thing can happen with bacteria that humans are frequently exposed to. As people get exposed to bacteria and they get sick, they go to their doctor and their physician prescribes them an antibiotic. And that they take that antibiotic, and some of them, maybe they don't take the full prescription. They stop taking the prescription once they feel better. Or they take the full prescription, but in either case, some of those bacteria are not killed off by the antibiotic. They still thrive and they survive and they reproduce. And again, they have a genetic immunity to that antibiotic. And so they reproduce, they pass on those immunity genes. And now that person gets sick again with that same bacteria, but this time those bacteria are antibiotic resistant. They cannot be killed by the antibiotic. So this is a huge threat to global health and food security. And this is happening because of the overuse of antibiotics and the overuse of pesticides. So the more we use antibiotics and the more we use them incorrectly, meaning people don't take their full prescription, the more likely it is that this acceleration in antibiotic resistance happens. So we see over these, even just 14 years, we see that the amount of resistance is increasing. Fewer and fewer bacteria are actually going to be killed. In 2004, 11%, only 11% of this E. coli bacteria were immune to, what is it, fluoroquinones. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that, but some type of antibiotic. Only 11% of them in 2004 were immune. They were resistant to that antibiotic. In 2018, that number had risen to about 23%. All right, so we can see that there are specific hotspots across the world where resistance is a big problem. And most of this is not actually happening in humans. Most of this is happening in farm animals, which are far more likely to be exposed to bacteria. They live much closer to one another. They live outdoors. They live where they can be exposed to other wild animals that are carrying bacteria. And so farm animals are much more likely to be exposed to bacteria. And so farmers, when they give their farm animals antibiotics, are drastically increasing the amount of drug resistance that is in that population. So this is a big problem. And again, this also happens with pests as well. And so this is how humans are accelerating this process of natural selection. Again, natural selection means that there's some type of advantage, some type of genetic advantage that some individuals in a population have that make it more likely that they will survive and reproduce. They increase their fitness. And again, we're talking about survival of the fittest. That means that the people who have the best traits are going to survive and they're going to reproduce. The individuals, I shouldn't just say people, but the individuals. So those who can survive. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do cockroaches and stink bugs actually do anything helpful?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm actually not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they provide any help, but they are help to us. They might provide help to some other organisms. You know, they might be prey to some other organisms, but I'm not exactly sure. Okay. So that's it. That's all we have. Now I do want to play some review games. Let's start off with this quizzes because the Kahoot I might need to edit the Kahoot. So let's start over here. So I just sent the link to the chat to join the game, or you can go to joinmyquiz.com and enter the game code 208610. There are 12 students, so we should have 12 players. Bring this over here. All right, we've got 6. We should have 12. We've got 7. I'm going to wait 30 more seconds, and then I'm going to start the game. Ten seconds to join. I already sent the link in the chat. We've got 8 people. Okay. Good job, Jalen. good. We've got Jalen done. We've still got, looks like everybody else working, but it's okay. Take your time. Good job, Castro. Okay, we still got a few more people working. Let's go ahead and try to wrap up in the next 2 minutes or so that we can take a look at the Kahoot as well. Excellent job, Castro. Good job, Alicia and Jalen. Okay. So it looks like we did okay. I would like for our overall average to be a bit higher. It's in the 60s. But let's see if I can sort by accuracy. There were two questions we really struggled with. All right. You can see struggles with both of these. I can understand that. So this question asks, what is this image an example of? I could see the potential answer also being a fossil record, but these two other answers, vestigial structures and embryology, don't make as much sense, and here's why. Vestigial structures are structures within one species that exist, but that don't really serve a function anymore. All right, so for humans, that might be the fact that we can get goosebumps, that might be our coccyx bone at the end of our spine, that might be the muscles around our ears, excuse me, that might be our appendix, but that's not what's being depicted in this image. Embryology, of course, is the study of embryos. It's the study of the earliest stages of development when a child is still in its mother's womb and it's just starting to go through this process of cell specialization, and it's developing its most foundational organs and tissues. So we don't see that here. I can understand if you said fossil record because fossils typically are made out of skeletons, but this is an example of homologous structures. Homologous structures are structures that you can witness across different species that have different functions. So obviously, the bones in a bird's wing allow that bird to fly. The birds in a whale's fin allow that whale to swim. The birds in a human's arm allow that human to pick things up. But they serve different functions, but we see those exact same bones across all of these species. All right, so that's what a homologous structure is. And then, nope, give me 1 second. The other question we struggled with, I can also see this being a difficult one. What type of natural selection is shown? I perhaps could have worded that question a little bit differently. But we can see in this chart, I don't know that I can make the picture any larger. Let's see. What is playing right now? Hold on. Okay. So Castro came first, Alicia second, and Jalen third. Excellent. Okay. But I want to look at this picture. So we can see in this picture, we've got beak size on the x-axis. So as I move from left to right on the x-axis, my beak size is increasing. And then I've got number of birds in the population on the y-axis. So as I move up on the y-axis, the number of birds with that beak size is also increasing. But we can see that this dotted line is probably where the beak size once was, and then the solid line is how it is now adjusting. So what this represents is that the average beak size, which will be represented basically by the peak of the graph, the average beak size is increasing. All right, so that was a difficult question. I agree with that. But I'm glad we did that review. Let's do one more. Let's play this game of Kahoot. 6. All right, so the game code is 3472374. Thank you, Castro. Thank you, thank you. Now, guys, as we wait for people to join and as you are joining the game, I do want to mention we do have a test tomorrow. The best way to study for that test is to make sure that you have done all of the asynchronous assignments. The asynchronous assignments will be due tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. Obviously, our test is going to be before that. I've only heard from one person saying that they have some outstanding circumstances, some extenuating circumstances that will make it difficult for them to complete the assignments on time. So for everybody else, I'm expecting that you have everything done by 11:59 p.m. tomorrow. Otherwise, it will be subject to a late penalty. There is an assignment. Yes.
Oh, my fault.
Go ahead.
Wait, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, my fault. I think I muted my mic again. Can you check your email whenever you get the chance?
Did you recently send me something? Oh, yes, I got your email from yesterday.
No, I just sent one like just now.
Okay.
It's like some more assignments.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to try to have everything updated, all of your grades updated by tonight. That way you'll be able to see where you stand currently. I'm going into the test.
When does the grade period close?
I believe it's going to be on December. Give me 1 second. Probably December 18th.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. So yes, I'm going to try to have everything updated today in both Canvas and Power School so you can see where you stand going into the test. Both Canvas and Power School should give you a good idea of which assignments are still missing. There is an assignment for today, but I am going to make it extra credit. Extra credit. So I would focus on the other assignments first before doing today's assignment so that you can get the actual grades. Today's assignment is just extra credit, meaning it will not I will not penalize you if you do not do it, but the other assignments do need to be done. All right, so the best way to study for the exam is by doing those asynchronous assignments. We have 7 people in the Kahoot, but we have 12 students, 13 students. Is Stephanie here now? I don't know how we have 13. But anyway, we've got 13 students, so I want to see some more of you join the Kahoot. Now we've got 8. Thank you, thank you. Okay, I'm going to start the game in 15 seconds. All right. 3, 2, 1. First question. What does the term evolution mean? Good. So evolution takes place over a long period of time. Good job, Castro. Click on the trigger. What does this image of homologous structures indicate about humans, seals, and whales? Good. So that's what we use homologous structures as evidence that there was once a common ancestor between these now very different species. Good job. Which of the following is the best way to describe the theory of natural selection? Right. So the best adapted is bound to survive and then reproduce. Which of the following are considered a pathogen? Good. Any of those answers would have worked. Everyone should have gotten that one right. Antibodies are classified as which type of organic compound? We just talked about this today. Yes, they are indeed proteins. Those are the 4 organic compounds. We talked about them way back in August, but they're still coming up. Very important stuff. Alicia and Omari, excellent job. Which of the following best explains why bacteria are becoming resistant to antibiotics? Natural selection. Yeah. The other ones were just kind of distractors. Trump 2020, I'm sorry to disappoint. DNA found in the nucleus is in the shape of what? What's the shape of DNA in the nucleus? Good, double helix. Which of the following cells were the first cells on Earth? This you guys should know because you should have done the review work. I'm sorry, the evolution of cells reading and questions from day 2, unit 8, day 2. Yes, anaerobic heterotrophic prokaryotes. Anaerobic because they didn't use oxygen. They didn't need oxygen to survive because there was no oxygen in the atmosphere. Heterotrophic because they had to find food. They ate organic material in the oceans, and they were prokaryotes because they were very, very simple forms of life. So congrats to the 2 of you who got that right. The 3 of you who chose aerobic autotrophic prokaryotes, you got these 2 words wrong. They're anaerobic and they are heterotrophic. Alicia and Kiki, good job. Which gas was not present until autotrophic prokaryotes evolved? I just said it. Which gas was not present until autotrophic prokaryotes evolved? Oxygen, excellent. Autotrophic prokaryotes began to do photosynthesis. And this was what, of course, oxygen is a product of photosynthesis. So when photosynthesis happens, it filled the atmosphere with oxygen. Which of the following is considered to be abiotic? Abiotic. That's a good question, too. Viruses, yes. Viruses are not living. We consider them non-living because they can't reproduce on their own. Good job to our top 2 go-getters, Alicia and Omari. Which piece of biochemical evidence is the strongest? DNA. Excellent. If you found a new organism, which biotech device would you use to identify it? And Dante and Malachi, while we're here, I do want to mention to you all that you do still need to take the Unit 7 test. I know Stephanie's not here, but she needs to do that as well. So schedule a time with me so we can get that out of the way. I don't want that to be a 0 in the grade book. Good, we would use DNA fingerprinting. During which phase of the cell cycle does DNA replication occur? So Unit 5 question. Or no, Unit 2, Unit 3. Or Unit 4, I think it's Unit 3. Synthesis, yes, because we are synthesizing new DNA. We're replicating the old DNA, we're making a copy of it, which means we have to make new DNA. So that takes place during the synthesis phase. 3 more questions. Which organelle is found in plant cells but not animal cells? Should be an easy one. Good, chloroplasts. Chloroplasts are what allows organisms to do photosynthesis. What is the overview of protein synthesis? Right, we start off with DNA. That DNA is transcribed to mRNA. That mRNA is translated into amino acids. And then those amino acids form together to create some type of protein. That was Unit 5 for sure. Last question. Which type of organic compound is broken down by the mitochondria to provide cell energy? Good. That organic compound is called glucose. Glucose is a sugar. We know that because it ends in OSE. Sugars typically end in OSE, and sugars are carbohydrates. Good job, Kiki. 11 out of 16. Omari, 11 out of 16, but did it faster. And Alicia was a perfect 16 out of 16. We've got 8 minutes left in the class. I do want you all to take some time to knock out the asynchronous assignments. I know that many of you have not yet done. Many of you have not yet done the quizzes that I assigned. Some of you have done that, so congratulations. I appreciate you. But the quizzes that I assigned to you, that's a great place to start. Let's see if I can find the link for you all. Send it over. No, that's not it. Oh, it was a Kahoot, not a quizzes. Okay. So I'm sending that to the link now. You can probably finish this in the next 6 minutes before class is over, or you can make progress on another one of your asynchronous assignments. Let's see. Good. I see I have some assignments from you all that I need to go ahead and grade and then update PowerSchool. But many of you still have quite a few Unit 8 asynchronous assignments to do, guys. Guys, I'm going to make the U8D2 review work, the most missed questions from the Unit 8 exam. I'm going to make those formal points. All right, so this is really going to help you all. I'm sorry, 1 second. It has the potential to really help you if you do that. It's going to be worth 25 formal points, so that's a fourth of the test. With all these assignments, you have multiple opportunities to do them. Please do keep that in mind. So for those of you who might be like, ooh, I want to do the formal assignment, let me send it to the chat. U8D2 review work NMQs from Unit 7 exam. From the second day of our 8th unit, 11:10 will be formal points. Of course, if you haven't taken the Unit 7 exam, then that might be kind of difficult for you to do that assignment. Okay, it is 11:36, so you all are good to go now. You do have a lot of work to do, though.
I don't see it.
Yes, Joseph. Oh, you don't. I mean, I don't know how to describe it to you. It's where we always find all of our assignments. If you go into modules, it's under Unit 8, Day 2. Let me share my screen with you. So if you're looking at modules, you're going to obviously scroll down to Unit 8. Unit 8, Day 2. Here's the assignment right here.